Hey everyone, Chloe here and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here, ladies and lurkers and ear hustlers, welcome. And apologies in advance for the sound quality of my voice because I'm currently getting over a nasty winter cold. My entire family, including hubby, has the sniffles, but we are all recovering. But I've been loosely following this Yikes on a Bike femc melodrama that has been dominating social media, and now that all of the rattled emotions have seemed to cool off a bit, I wanted to share my womanhood thoughts on this Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj beef, and to further highlight why it is so important, especially as a woman, to have self-awareness, to work on the soft power of your emotional intelligence, to be aware of the womanhood stage that you are in life, to know how to stand in your queendom when you are a queen, and to understand the soft power womanhood art of knowing how to make your anger expensive, which Megan Thee Stallion thus far, if I may say so myself, has done so beautifully. Now, before any of you emotionally dysregulated, unhinged stands try to come for me, first argue with your split ends, because opinions are free, but I'm not choosing sides here, and I don't have a dog in this fight. Both of these amazing women are in a very aggressive, a very hostile, and a very competitive, and a very ageist, ruthless, and dirty music machine business, which in many aspects is bound to create a very hostile level of competition and professional jealousy, which is bound to bring out the worst of both of these beautiful Black women and their alpha egos when it comes to competing for that number one masculina spot. But both of these women are talented, ambitious, hardworking, and intelligent. And in many ways, the playground beefing, although toxic AF, is good for business because it keeps the people going and it gives people something to talk about. And at the end of the day, negative marketing is still marketing. Now, in spite of that dust bucket liability that Nicki Minaj chose to marry and have a family with, and many women have disagreed with me on this, but as a born and raised New Yorker, I have always called Nicki Minaj the undisputed queen of rap, and that still stands. And I still feel this way, even with this most recent straight jacket stunt that Mrs. Roman Petty decided to pull. And just in case you need a reminder, two things can be true at the same time. Is Nicki Minaj the queen of rap? With her body of work, I would arguably say absolutely, because nobody is touching Nicki Minaj's legacy in a versus. But is Nicki Minaj self-sabotaging, and is she off of her focus? And is she failing to read the room and the tea leaves? Yes. And is Nicki Minaj failing to mature in her queendom? Absolutely. Because what we're not going to do is act like some women over a certain age, as much as we may love them, cannot be emotionally stunted, emotionally immature, cannot see the big picture, or that they do not have arrested development. Just go to any comment section on social media and you will see the pot stirrers, old and young, being aggressive, being hella petty, and being hostile, and being very proud to be childish. And they are all over the internets causing havoc. And Nicki, in many ways, has been a ringleader of this arrested development energy, which in turn has put a very unhealthy petty battery, pun intended, in her back. But for those of you who are living under a rock, Mrs. Nicki Minaj Petty went on a 24/7 did not come up for air 78-hour rant against Megan Thee Stallion after Megan Thee Stallion dropped her latest music single, Hiss, which was a nameless response to all of her haters and their shot-taking subliminals, and to the evil people and the male-identified pick-me boots who tirelessly keep trying to gaslight this woman about her experience of being shot by Patches the Canadian Leprechaun, Mr. Tory Lanez, who is currently serving a 10-year bid for having an out-of-control Napoleonic complex. And unfortunately, Megan dissed about 10 people in her song, but only Mrs. Nicki Minaj Petty took the bait and got triggered by the two words in Hiss that ate her up called Megan's Law, which sadly she allowed to send her into an unhinged orbit. Now, for those of you who don't know, Megan's Law is a federal law in the United States that requires law enforcement to make information publicly available about registered SEX offenders in your locality. And these are those neighborhood alert texts that everyone gets on their cell phones when a felon member of the Creep Squad might be living at a zip code near you. And the law is for the safety for your children and to reduce the risk of them getting abducted and harmed. And we all know that Mr. Kenneth Petty, amongst other things, including homicide, is a registered offender who will be reported by Megan's Law if he's in your neighborhood. But here's a clip of Nicki Minaj being triggered and letting loose and not holding back.
Your dead mama, lie on your dead mama, lie on your dead mama. But you will not disrespect Papa Bear, you dirty fuck. Ran through bird ass, butt ass, bitch. Broke bitch, you broke bitch. Tell them the truth, bitch. Y'all want it Roman? Lied on her dead mama, lied on her dead mama. Right after the funeral, she on her dead mama. I said, lied on her dead mama.
Now, I've covered Nicki Minaj's marriage to Mr. Kenneth Petty years ago, and I hate repeating myself because ultimately, a woman's choice is her choice, whether we agree with it or not, because women make their choices according to the levels of their self-esteem and worth. But from day one, we all knew that this marriage to Mr. Kenneth Petty would not be off limits, as Mr. Kenneth Petty will always be Nicki Minaj's Achilles heel, and he will always be a whole liability that is bad for business as long as she is married to him. In her delusion, Nicki wants everyone to turn a blind eye to who this man is, and sadly, she does not have the power to rehab her husband's image because there is no level of PR that can clean up her man's past, because he is a bona fide goon who still moves and walks and talks like a goon. And the disparity in the levels of their success is so ginormous that I really don't know how Nicki Minaj expects the public to wholesale ignore her choice to hypogamously marry down at such a busted level. But as it stands, she is a public figure, married to a man with a rap sheet longer than a CVS receipt. And in the rap game, when the throne is being challenged, nothing is off limits when a person wants to come for your crown, especially when you're known for not playing nice to others. Just look at the way 50 Cent went in on Diddy after the Cassie settlement. We all know that 2/4 is an unapologetic savage, that his hands are rated E for everyone, and that he will absolutely not apologize for kicking a dog when he's down, because he's unapologetically petty and ruthless the way that the 48 Laws of Power taught him to be. So why in Sam's hell should Kenneth Petty be off limits? Now, as far as Nicki is concerned, and I said this in my last video when her and Lotto went at it, but when you are a queen, and this is especially true for women, you leave the childish games to the children. And no, Nicki Minaj does not need to retire, but when you are a true queen, you don't respond to peons. You don't weekly link up with the chicken head ops. So linking up with Miss Helen Keller was a whack move. And when you are a woman of a certain stature, you don't get yourself dirty playing around in the mud with piglets. And as a queen, you most certainly do not give away your power with Twitter fingers. You pivot. You move on to bigger and better. If you wish, you mentor. If you're a boss, you franchise. And you solidify your place in music history, because make no mistake, Nicki will be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What Nicki's problem is, she doesn't know that she's Nicki Minaj. She's the queen of rap, and I know not having a Grammy is really a sore spot for her, but every time she goes ballistic like this, she's losing the plot because she's too busy trying to protect that little piece of turf that she already came, saw, and conquered. Now, will there be times when a person who started beef deserves to get hit with a T-bone steak? For sure. But a queen would never let an op even know that they are this level of panini pressed. But instead, these rap girlies got her acting like a trapped rat in a corner, and they are rattling her crown and treating her like a PlayStation controller. So sadly, Nicki Minaj needs to work on her pivoting, her emotional intelligence, and seeing the bigger picture, because her lack of seeing the bigger picture is playing into an unhinged narrative of her being in a midlife crisis where she is allowing the insecurities of her age to control her. And her insecurities are starting to make her queendom look as ugly as a gargoyle, especially when she pathetically stooped to a new low by speaking on Megan's deceased mother. And as far as I'm concerned, the deceased and people's kids should always be off limits, because talking about someone's deceased mother is disgusting behavior, and making a mockery out of a black woman who got shot in the foot even more lame. But sadly, Nicki got caught up in the Arrested Development trance of giving away her sanity for free 99. And all of this hatred seems to be rooted in Megan's ambition, her comeuppance, her 3 Grammys, and in Nicki wanting to halt and to stall her progress. Not to mention, and not too many people are going to bring this point up, but I will, but a lot of the Megan hate is also rooted in the fact that she is sexually threatening, which can be a whole nother 20-minute video. But Nicki's main issue with Megan does seem to be rooted in the fact that Megan didn't, little girl, bow down to her. And more importantly, Megan did not make the amateur mistake of handing out premature worship to a person just because they are older. And she didn't make the rookie mistake of choosing an allegiance. And very smartly, she chose herself and she made a hit song with Nicki Minaj's nemesis, Cardi B. And from that point on, it has turned into World War VI. As for Megan, this woman has been through a lot and has survived a lot. And I don't listen to too much female rap because it's a little too hostile and a little too aggressive for my feminine spirit. But I will say that Megan has favor, and favor ain't fair. She may not be perfect. No human being listening is. But clearly everything that has been sent to break this woman has not worked. The woman got shot, bullied, harassed, and was told to end her life by Tory stans and male groupies. And I truly do admire her level of resilience, because the internets have definitely tried to top to bottom destroy her mental health, and more importantly, they tried to destroy her hope. But she keeps getting better, and in the case of Hiss, Megan cleared. She gave herself a spa day. She's continuing to enjoy her late 20s and made her anger expensive AF. So the Houston hottie is definitely being mentored by the queen of not responding, by always staying gracious, and by remembering that the best revenge will always be your paper. As for Queen Nicki, 2 words should not have you out here in a frenzy, writing 5 diss songs, not taking showers, and eating 3-day leftovers. Ladies, listen, and listen clearly. Father Time catches up to everyone, whether young or old, and as a queen and as a lady of a certain age, there comes a point in time when you have to give up playing in the sandbox with the kiddies. And there will definitely come a time where passing the baton and elevating to a newer position, a higher position in life, will feel like the right thing to do. Because with maturity, you will realize that the things that you do in the life stage of your 20s are not meant to be done in your 40s. No one is saying that when you're 40 that you should be in a rocking chair, knitting sweaters. But the average woman lives to be around 79 years old. So yeah, 40 plus is not old, but it is definitely the halfway point. And if you haven't tightened up your act in your 20s and your 30s, you will definitely have a lot of catch-up work to do in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. But 40-year-old women should be focused on capitalizing off of the mistakes of their 20s and their 30s. They should be traveling, seeing the world, and creating beautiful memories for themselves, whether single or married, or enjoying motherhood. And 40-year-olds should be growing into a secure place of wisdom, queendom, and feminine mystique, so that the generation coming up behind them will be better. Not bickering and punching down with some hungry 20-something-year-olds who still got a ton of course correction mistakes to make. And if you don't like what I had to say about women growing into their maturity, stay stunted and you can go argue with your gas station wig. So that is all that I have to say on this for now. Nicki girl, we love you in spite of your insecurities and your 17-hour rants, but we are not taking up for that grimy husband of yours. And as long as you are willing to play in the mud with the rap girlies, marrying a jailbird registered offender will always be up for rap game ammunition. And there is just no getting around it. And what I really want to know is, Nicki, where are your real friends? Where are the people in your life that you don't have to pay or financially support to be in your corner? And Nicki, if you are struggling with holding up the weight of your crown, because crowns can be a very heavy burden to carry, but please, for the love of Christ, seek help before it's too late. So ladies and lurkers, to get this conversation started, do you think Nicki is too old to be involved with high school level beef? Are you disappointed in Nicki's behavior, or is her childish stunted behavior to be expected at this point? And since Nicki decided to bring up deceased mothers, there really isn't anything left to say but to square up. So who y'all got in terms of hands? Because my bet is that Miss Bigfoot Tina Snow would physically turn Nicki every which way but loose. And as always, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing. And please share this video if you care to further grow our community. And please stay tuned for more videos to come. And I will catch up with you ladies and lurkers and ear hustlers in the next one.
Let me tell you something. Not knowing who you are is a very dangerous way to live. If you don't know who you are, you will settle for anything. When you don't know who you are, you'll surround yourself with just anybody. Like, I just think back to my life before I actually knew who I was and the kind of things that I entertained, the kind of jobs I used to work, the kind of people that I would let in my energy. Like, and the reason why I can say not knowing who you are is dangerous is because I've put myself in dangerous situations simply because I did not know who I was. When you know who you are, you're not just about to go anywhere. When you know who you are, you're not about to just hang out with anybody. You will have a certain standard for your life when you know who you are. I mean, I just said and had people try to play in my face. I mean, they played in my face because I didn't know who I was. Now I'm at a point in my life where the standard for myself, the people I surround myself with, the life experiences that I have is very high. And it's not to sound like I'm too good, but at the end of the day, when you know who you are, you just simply move different. You do not play about yourself. And I feel like everyone should get to that point in their life. Right? You should be setting the bar in your life very high when it comes to your life experiences, the people you date, the kind of friends you have, so on and so forth. But that's just my opinion.